heard that doctors, I think in Canada, maybe Japan, they literally prescribe going to a forest or a national park as a prescription for de-stressing.
Ooh, I love that. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. They've started literally prescribing go out into nature as a prescription instead of saying here's a, drug.
Right.
Because they've done studies and studies show that being out in nature literally does calm us. Why? Because we're natural beings, right?
This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn, different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I'm talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope you are too.
Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan. My guest today is Lisa Allen. Lisa is a shop owner in California, and her store is called Good Spark Shop. And she has some really cool ideas, and so I'm totally vibing on this. So Lisa, thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to learning more about all that you're doing.
Thank you, Amy. Glad to be here.
So Good Spark Shop. Tell us about Good Spark Shop.
Wow, well, okay. So, well, it's an online shop. It's not a physical store yet, one day. But yeah, it's an online shop. Basically, the whole mission is just to inspire you to live a more natural, creative, thoughtful way of life. And it's sort of, I call it the anti-Target, the anti-CVS, the anti-Walgreens, those types of places. Because, I I want to normalize these products that are made sustainably, that are made ethically, that are made with like really good ingredients, not what the packaging says, but actually good ingredients by these small companies, these small brands that actually really care. They really truly care, right? They're small businesses, that's their livelihood, and they're passionate about it.
Right. And,
And
and you know
right,
that the smaller businesses are going to support other businesses.
yes.
Yeah.
And I right now it's kind of more of the alternative thing, even though there's a growing demand and interest in these types of products, the way that they're made, at least it's still kind of alternative, right? Because you don't find them in the mass markets. And my mission, I want to normalize buying these products before you go to Target and
Mhm.
buy the big brands. And I know it's hard because you're familiar, it's convenient, so I get it.
Right.
Um, but it's become it's funny, I guess I know my shop falls into the wellness and self-care category because I sell things for mind, body, and soul. So for body, I sell soaps and face masks and I was like, what else do I, things for personal care, deodorant, which is great. I love it. I use it. Toothpaste tablets. What else? Bath salts, journals. Um, I know I'm missing a bunch of things like handmade uh eye masks. So if you have a headache or you want to meditate, things like that. So yeah, everything is for mind, body, and soul, and it's oh, that's what I was saying. I'm sorry. So everything, my shop kind of falls into the self-care and wellness category, if you will. And I think that the whole idea of self-care is, I don't want to say BS. It's not. Everybody needs self-care, right? You need to take care of yourself, whether it's just basic hygiene, like brushing your
Just not all the
teeth.
same thing. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's not all the same thing. And it's become such a commodity. It's become such a trend. And that's the BS part of it, right? I think is just, I'm like, come on, And it wasn't necessarily my intention to create this kind of store, but I had this passion about being out in nature and I have this passion about creativity. And I used to pre-pandemic, I actually volunteered more. I need to get back into it. And it just, these things all just finally came together because I was trying to figure out how to bring these three elements together. And finally one day it just clicked. I don't actually know how, but um,
That's wonderful, though. I mean,
thank
that's just
you.
I mean, I totally get that because everyone says self-care, self-care, self-care. And I'm like, blah.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it
exactly.
doesn't like what everyone considers as self-care, like the yoga and
Yeah,
meditation and stuff like that. It does not help not
yes.
me. Like
Yeah.
it actually stresses me out.
Yeah.
I've been to, seriously, I've been to, I've gone to yoga classes and I
Yeah.
cry because I'm
Mm.
so aware that I feel like everyone is staring at me and they're
Mm.
thinking that I'm doing it wrong. And so it literally, I cry every time I go. It's
Oh
don't go because I
no.
just don't, it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't help. It makes it worse for
Yeah.
me.
Try going to yoga classes in LA.
I would not dream of
Uh,
it. Right, where it's so cool to do. Like
yeah,
everyone does
exactly.
it,
And
and
that's
like
the
the
thing is like,
designer outfits, and I'm like,
yeah,
show up
you're,
in my stupid sweatpants and ratty
yeah.
t-shirt, and they're like, you don't fit here.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing is, I mean, okay, yes, I actually do like yoga, but
No,
that's the thing.
yeah, but
But,
it's just not for everybody, and I
right. And
love
I
that you
get
think that
that.
way.
Yeah, I think it's because self-care and wellness has become yoga and spiritual and I'm like, you know what? I think about my friends and they're not like that. And I think about there's people out there that want to do something different and they want to connect differently, but they're not in that space. And I feel like they're kind of excluded.
Hmm.
And I think no, it's self-care should be, just connection. It's free. It can be free. It doesn't have to be this
Right,
expensive, trendy thing. In fact, it really shouldn't be.
right,
Um, in my opinion. I mean, and it's kind of like it's a shop for people who are kind of the anti-trendy self-care stuff, in my opinion. But also people that want better products. They're looking for these alternatives to what's in the mass markets because they may not be familiar with what greenwashing is. And, these products, they just slap words on the front of the packaging that's made of plastic.
absolutely,
And it doesn't mean anything. Sure, they use like extract of, I don't know, coconut oil or, I don't know, some jojoba or,
right.
but, it's like minuscule amount. I'm sure but it's also the ingredient list is just very long with who knows what else.
Right. That's the one that gets me. Like for me, I think self-care is being mindful of what I'm putting on and inside my
Mhm.
body.
Yeah,
Like it matters to me that the things that I'm eating and the things that I'm putting on me are
yeah,
natural and healthy. So
yeah.
like, it's taking care of my body in that way. And one of the products that when you're talking about, the ingredients and in, and saying that you're a good product, but you're also not really is like, and sorry, I'm going to call it out, but like those Lush, shampoo
Oh,
bars,
mhm.
everyone's like, oh, I'm using shampoo bars. Have you tried Lush? I'm like, have you looked at the ingredients?
Yeah.
I mean, I think somebody had gifted me one and I'm like, that smells like chemicals. Like that does not
Oh.
smell, it doesn't, I don't want to put that on me. Um,
Mm.
and so I try to be really mindful about that type of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I love junk food, you know,
Yeah, I know. Who doesn't,
but like,
right?
but when I'm really thinking about what I'm doing for myself, I'm just being really careful about what I've started making a lot of things.
Oh, nice.
And so, that feels really good. Um it's almost like I'm going to say meditation and I don't really mean it, but it's
Yeah,
just
I
like
know. You get in that flow
it's just
state.
being really mindful about what I'm doing and
Mhm.
as I'm like mixing the beeswax and the vitamin E oil
Yeah,
and the coconut oil, I'm like I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for
yeah.
me. And so that's my sort of self-care because doing things in front of other people makes me cry and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Self-care is supposed to make you feel good, right?
Yeah.
That does not
Well,
make
and
me
that's
feel
the
good.
whole, I feel like that's the whole point of it is getting missed. Self-care basically is what's supposed to bring you joy
Mhm.
and make you feel good and happy and
Right.
excited. But then I feel like, oh gosh, I gotta go, you know, I don't want to knock any of these trends, but the red light therapy, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I haven't really, I don't know.
It works for some people, I'm
I
sure.
mean, it might
I
work
mean,
for
I
some
haven't tried
people.
it. It also,
Right, exactly.
some things cost a lot of money and we can't all do it.
Exactly. And also the whole other thing with the self-care thing, which I'm totally getting off, but it is the fear, like the fear mongering to sell the products. If you don't buy this or if you don't do this and this is I'm like, no, I want to approach everything with, hey, let's love ourselves, love our planet, love our community. And it should be positive,
Hmm.
be a positive message.
Right. I love
Um,
that.
so yeah, and it's like, and also like the thing is, it's about the ingredients that we put on and in our bodies, but also these ingredients are also going into our earth when they've, get washed down the drain or so, that's also something that you want to take in consideration. And like I said, I mentioned before, the packaging,
Hmm.
everything I carry in the store, I make sure it's little to no plastic. Sometimes it's a little bit unavoidable, like the plastic caps on the essential oil bottles or
Yep. Totally. Yeah. I mean, just as little as possible. And
yeah,
you're mindfully going about like, I how much plastic is in here and how many chemicals and
yeah,
that's important to me. Like those are the businesses that I want to support.
yeah,
If I can't make it, I want someone else to do it.
yeah,
And I want them to have my best interest at heart, not just like how much money can I get for this,
yeah,
and how can I cut
definitely.
corners um and throw cheap stuff in there and then say it's still natural or whatever.
Yeah. And
I'm really not a snob. I'm just really trying to do
no,
my
no.
job. Like
I
with,
know.
this is my self-care, guys. Seriously. Um, but yeah, I mean it matters to me and I know that it matters to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And for the greenwashing, like you were saying, people saying, "Oh, we're so natural and healthy," and even I've learned a lot about, not a lot, I've learned about essential oils. Like all essential oils are not the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some are not protective of the environment, and some are,
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
broken down weird, or they're just a hint of essential oils, and the rest of it is,
Yes.
yeah, it's just
The carrier. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and when I research the suppliers for the essential oils, I try to make sure that they are ethically made and the ingredients are ethically sourced, locally sourced if possible, that type of thing.
so it's really important to know about your business because you are doing that hard work for us.
Yes.
Really.
I'm doing that research. Yes.
Because it's really time consuming.
It is.
Like if you want to buy, a healthy, if you go to the grocery store and you're looking at deodorant, oh my gosh, you're spending so
Yeah.
much money and they're all in plastic. And
Yeah.
you're like, all the ingredients, oh my
Yes.
gosh, like what are the good ingredients? Because there are so many ingredients.
Yes. That's it. Yeah, that's the funny thing that gets me is they're all in plastic, and I'm like, what?
Right.
I are you what? I mean, okay, so I one of the things I put together, which I'm actually really proud of, is my travel essentials line. So everything is, well, except for the deodorant packs, which is what I was getting to, because those are actually in Mylar, which is a type of plastic, but it's because it's a cream and there was no other way. But the actual deodorant, the non-travel one, is in jars. I love the little jars they come in. Anyway, so I remember thinking, anytime I travel anywhere, you go to the store, you get your trial
Little
size
travel size,
toothpaste,
everything. Yep.
your trial deodorant, face, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm tired of this. And I remember I live near a Whole Foods and I walked to the Whole Foods thinking they gotta have something. And first of all, their little travel trial section was really small and it was basically the same as
Everywhere else.
everything else. Like they were the more natural products, if you will, but they were still in plastic. And so I just did research and I've been looking and I found these toothpaste tablets that are 4 to a pack, or I have one now, it's 5, but the deodorant packs, that's the only thing in plastic. I've got these little these little bars that are made in Idlewild here in California. It's for face, body, and shave and hair. So
Oh,
it's like all of these products, it's like it exists. It can be done. I'm still looking for the lotion. I don't know, the lotion bars, I'm not a big fan of,
I,
but the
yes,
other people like them. I don't know.
they're great in the winter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
You need
true.
to grease that skin because it's just
Yeah.
gonna
I
be
don't know
so
if
dry.
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, but anyway, I'm still looking for a good uh body butter in a small container. I found one, but I didn't realize they use preservatives. So I was like, Ugh. Anyway, but yeah, so and it's funny because I put them in my little plastic clear container that you have to take onto the airplanes.
Mhm.
And it was like half the amount of space. These products take up so much less space because it's not all in plastic. So it's amazing how, it can be done. It's just the thing is, these smaller businesses can be more innovative because they don't have the big corporations breathing down, the
Yeah,
shareholders, all of the big wigs that have to make the decisions. So they can be more innovative. And I think it's such an amazing thing. And I just want that to become more normal.
right. Well, and the small businesses I have so much respect for because I know that if they want to do it on a healthy level and really look out for the person and the earth, it costs money. Like you need different packaging, and
Yes.
that the cheapest packaging is so it's because you're buying it in bulk. And the smaller businesses, there's a lot of overhead for smaller
Yeah.
businesses for sure.
Oh,
And so
for sure.
I definitely have so much respect for them. I have a jam business that's right now,
Oh,
but
nice.
so I totally get that, especially with all the regulations and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing, Lisa, is so beautiful because
Yeah.
really, I mean, like I said, you're doing the hard legwork, but you're also curating all of, you're searching everywhere for, and you're supporting the smaller businesses. And so
Yeah.
you're doing the good work, and we just need to support those people. But it's nice that you've already, like I said, you've already done that, and so you've already found what's really good.
Yeah. And in addition, I donate 2% of the sales toward
You do.
a hygiene kit that I put together for the unhoused. So, unfortunately, those aren't quite as environmentally friendly, but hopefully one day I can get to a place. But so I got these little vinyl backpacks, and I found a place online where you can get the small, the trail size products for cheaper.
Yeah.
And then I distribute to local organizations who get them out to the people in need.
That's so
So
2% you said?
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of, that's kind of the creative nature and kindness. The kindness is, the 2% I'm giving back. in addition, the kindness is also just supporting other small businesses,
Yeah.
and all these small businesses also often support other organizations as well. They give back. So, um, but yeah, it's kind of all layered.
I think it's beautiful. I mean, real like I said, I mean you can Google search so many things, or you can search on the big Amazon, I'd hate to say it, but like Amazon and stuff like that. Um, and but you don't always know what you're getting.
Yeah,
That you
yeah,
can't always look at all the ingredients, and even if you can, like
yeah.
I mean, I'm going on 52 years old. My eyes are such
Oh
crap.
wow.
So like
Oh yeah, I'm wearing
reading
glasses now.
things, my eyes get so tired, and
Yes,
my eye is
I hear
twitching
you.
right now even. But like
Oh,
it's exhausting to look through a million different ingredients and like, was
it
that the month I
is.
saw that bad ingredient, or was it this one? And like it's
Yeah.
so you've done that hard part, which is it's so important that that you have um that level of quality
Thank you.
and that you provide that for people. So I applaud you. I
Thank
think that's
you.
wonderful, and I really want to look at that now.
It's funny you should see me. I Google ingredients because sometimes they put the what's the word? Not the common name, but the more, I guess, scientific name.
Okay. Oh,
The list
yeah.
that, and I'm like, what is that? Because it sounds
Yes.
scary. And
Right.
I'll Google it, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what is this? Where does it come from? And
Right.
then I Google the environmental working group, which I think some people
Yep.
have issues with. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I put that in there to see what the level of like harm to us. So I'm like, okay, this isn't a bad ingredient. This is a byproduct of something. It's like, okay, it sounds scary, but it's not.
Yeah, I've totally seen that. I feel like it was on either a shampoo bar or something, and the ingredients were like totally weird.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I feel like okay, I think it was like the Fells Naphtha bar because I tried to make my
Oh,
own laundry soap, and it
oh,
was you're supposed to grate that bar, and I was like yes, that was it. That was the first time I've had it happen. But I was like, why? It smells horrible as you're grating it. I'm like, I don't want
oh,
anywhere like my clothes are gonna smell like that. I don't think so. And so
yeah,
I
interesting.
posted on a Facebook homesteading page because I was like trying to learn all the homesteading stuff and like, make my own, and who knows better than homesteaders, right? But
Yeah.
so I posted on, I was like, why does it smell so strong? Like it smells like it's all chemicals. And they're like, just go down to the river and wash it on some rocks, okay? Just like get over yourself.
Okay.
And I'm like, it just smells like chemicals. They're like, it's this and this and this.
Oh,
I'm like, why doesn't it say that?
yeah.
Those when they're not using what we know as the ingredient, they're using a different name for it.
Yeah, I
Why
guess
don't you
it's a
use what people
scientific.
know it
I
as?
know. I don't know. Well, and I wonder if it's sold in the store, if they have to list the I'll use the term scientific ingredient by law. It might have so I have a consumer products background. I worked in consumer products for many years. Yeah.
Of
So,
course you did.
huh?
Of course you did.
Yeah. I worked, well, I was a creative project manager, so I managed product development, package development.
Okay. So this is a
Um,
natural flow for you then. Like you did it for work and now you're
yeah, a little bit. It's still a little, really is more different than I realized. But yeah, I mean, at least I kind of have an understanding of certain things. And it might be that they just, by law, they have to use that scientific ingredient if it's sold in a store.
Gotcha. Yeah. Think of
Just to
like plant,
follow the,
plants when you go to a plant store and they're like,
yeah.
this is, the Latin name
Yeah,
or what you
exactly.
actually know it as.
Yeah, I know. Can't we just, yeah, just
Call it what
layman's
it is,
terms.
please.
Layman, it's like when you go to the doctor and they speak to you in their lingo, you're like, okay, what?
Yeah. Or actually just put it on the label. Like you can put the technical, the scientific name, but also say what it is.
Yeah, and I've seen that too in the parentheses. At least I have products that they'll list the technical or the scientific and they'll put in the parentheses what it is. It's like
Yes, exactly.
sunflower. Oh, okay.
But like, how when we when we're looking at ingredients for foods, like if you don't
Yeah.
recognize that name, like you should not be eating that. You
Yes,
should know all the
exactly.
things that are in your food. So like
Yeah.
it should go the same way with what we're putting on us and in us, all
Yeah.
that stuff. But
Yeah.
so if you're saying words that we don't know, we're gonna think that it's bad.
Yeah. It's so yeah, it's kind of funny. So yeah, I'll literally have to Google ingredients. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't scary. It's like this is not bad. But I think it can be really overwhelming when people want to make better decisions.
Hmm.
And I think more and more and more and more people do. And they just don't know where to start. And it's such a tug of war between, not having time to research. It's not having time to go out and find other places, alternatives, because your local big box not big box, but mass retailer is just right there. You got to pick up stuff. And I get it. It's
Right.
convenience, right? And I think I'm just kind of realizing like we've evolved into this type of crazy society and life that as a species, I don't think we're there yet to align with that, like we rely so much on convenience for everything, we sit in our chairs all day long and work on computers, and that's how we get work done. Or we buy processed foods to feed ourselves because we don't have time to cook with real ingredients.
Because
We
we're sitting on our
have
butts all day.
cars because we're sitting on our butts all day. Exactly. And I think we're still kind of that organic natural being that's similar to like all the plants out there and the wild animals and your dog and my dog. And it's funny because you think like, well, I mean, most people, you're like, oh, I wouldn't feed my dog that. It's like your dog can't eat certain things. You shouldn't feed your dog certain things. And the same goes for us. And I'm not talking about like, grapes and avocados, which are toxic to dogs,
Right.
but it's kind of that same thing. Like, you don't feed your dog sugar, right? I don't feed my dog sugar. I
Right.
mean, maybe some people do, but it's not good for them.
Hmm.
So why, or excessive salt, but we do it to ourselves.
Right.
And I'm not saying we have to be perfect and monks and just eat plants right off the front lawn or, whatever. I'm thinking of my own front lawn. It looks like a giant salad right now. Uh, uh, but actually, I'm gonna go foraging in my front lawn. There's
Yeah.
a plant called mallow, which I'm now realizing is everywhere. That's edible.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, that's edible?
Is it like marshmallow?
No,
It's
it's
different.
weird. It's different. It's like a little rounded leaf, and I haven't tried it. I have some in my backyard.
Is the
Um,
is the leaf the edible part or is it the flower?
the leaf, and I think the flower, but I haven't seen it flower. I think it flowers, but mostly they're just leaves.
Oh, okay.
Also, there's a plant called nasturtium.
Yep.
That's edible, 100%. The flower, the leaves, and they grow wild in our backyard for some reason. I think some bird pooped
Oh.
out the seeds.
Yeah, they probably just reseed themselves. And yeah.
Yeah, and the I've actually gone out and just picked the leaves and put them in my sandwich, and it's like a peppery. Eh,
Awesome.
crazy.
Sorry to get you off track.
I know I totally went off on a tangent. Sorry.
But so we were talking about ingredients and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I just think I'm gonna keep saying it because I just think it's so important to know that there are people that are looking out for us.
Mhm.
There are small shops that have, you know, that I'm not gonna say aren't looking out for us, but they're trying to make ends meet. And so they,
Yeah. Yeah.
cut corners or they'll buy in bulk and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're looking out for
Yeah.
um super healthy things that are good for your body and good for the earth, it's good to know that there are shop owners that are really really intentional about that, and I love that you're one of those
Thank
people.
you. Thank you.
And on that note, I mean, I wanted to just so in your guest form, Lisa, you had said intentional, eco-conscious choices create a ripple effect of goodness. And it's a lot of words, but it's all goodness. I mean, it's just intentional, eco-conscious choices.
Yeah.
And making those choices are, and so these are like smaller choices, like just, just
Yeah.
being mindful about what you're doing, and then think about the ripple effect of that. And that's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good.
It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be what you should do. It's what you can do. Start with one small thing and just swap out a product.
Yep.
Go with that for a couple months, if you will, and move on to the next thing, or take a room in your house and find one product and swap that out. Or it doesn't have to be this massive overhaul. There shouldn't be any guilt associated with anything, any of it. I think that's the other thing I feel like, especially with social media, I feel like it can bring up guilt in people that they're like, oh, I really do want to, do good and make a difference and maybe change, my habits or what have you. First of all, habits and practices are really, 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 really hard to change. I myself am like, okay, I need to change my morning routine, but it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and everything's a practice. Everything is practice, practice. It's a practice. And what do your values align with? Everybody's values are different. Some people value, they're all about fashion. Okay, then maybe start, going to secondhand thrift shopping, and start there. Just start with what makes you passionate, what brings you joy, and it doesn't have to be difficult or complex. Just start with one thing. Start
Right.
with what you can. Start with
Right.
what brings you already brings you joy.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Start with what brings you joy. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. I
Oh,
remember last year I talked to you had mentioned, guilt, and it came to my mind of shame. And so I did an episode with Kira Wackett last year, who her focus is on like shame and like not feeling shame. And so, she had said, not well, not to feel shame, basically, but it's like we almost thrive on it, like we look for it, like we want to make the biggest impact.
yeah.
And so, but the 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 sort of impulse is to like jump in full
Mhm.
force.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, for
but
sure.
that's like it will be, often a failure because
Yeah.
we can't sustain
Yeah.
that. Like we can't
Yeah.
keep it up. It's too big, and
Mhm.
there's so much, and sometimes it's really expensive and whatever. But like
Mhm.
there's also I've read a lot, don't just like go throw all the plastic away. Like don't do
Right.
that. But like as you
Yeah.
use things up, maybe
Yeah.
maybe try something different instead of
Right.
plastic, or
Exactly.
a more natural product or something like that. And I think that,
Yeah.
it's like an easing in, and instead of like, and that's sort of what the podcast is about. Like, you
Mhm.
don't have to make these huge changes, but
Mm-mm.
small, like you were saying,
Yeah.
intentional choices. Like,
Mhm.
one thing at a time, or
Yeah.
just consider that, or make your own, or something like that. Like there are so many ways that we can, and that's why I'm doing the podcast. There are so many ways that we can be sustainable and be more mindful and be better to the
Yeah.
earth. And it does not have to be all at once. It does not have to be lots of money. It doesn't have to be, you know, super, super busy and hard. It doesn't have to be
No,
hard.
shouldn't be.
And I love that you said start with what brings you joy, and only do things that bring you joy. Like if it is hard and it makes you feel bad, like
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, it should be obvious, but sometimes it's not. And, just remember the fact that you already are thinking that you want to make better choices, that in and of itself is amazing.
Right.
The fact that you're already thinking about it, just thinking about it and having a desire to want to make more intentional choices and better choices for the earth and for ourselves. That already, it's almost like when you say what is it? An alcoholic is admitting they have a problem is the first step. That's the first step, is just
Right.
the acknowledgement. You know what? I do want to do something better. That's great. You
Right.
should celebrate that
That's
and just go from there. I always use the deodorant as an example because it's deodorant, the like most mundane, boring thing. But so the deodorant I sell, they come in like a little glass jar, and I use the deodorant. It's great. And every time I put it on in the morning, it's so funny because I'm always like, oh, I don't know, it brings me joy
it
because
feels good because you're doing something good for
yes,
yourself. Yes,
it's deodorant.
totally. I make my own now, and I'm like every
Oh,
morning I'm like, I made that. Like I'm doing that for me. See, self-care. See?
yeah, exactly. And that's the ripple effect, right? You celebrate that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm using something it's good for me, it's good for the environment, it supports a small business, it's a great product, and I get these little jars at the end. And the that deodorant lasts a long time. Um,
Right.
these little jars are like so great for putting random little things in, like herbs or I don't know what.
Right.
They're
Oh,
cute
I
little
love that you
jars.
love the jars. You're like,
I
they're
know,
so
they're like these
perfect.
super cute little jars. Like,
That's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, so
Uh,
it's a small thing.
Yeah. Well, yes. So, I mean, you've curated this, you've done the research for everyone, and when you purchase from you, you're giving a portion, you're taking a portion of that and donating it to folks that really could use some help.
Yeah, and
So
their own
like it's a
self-care.
it's a win-win-win there. And so I also just wanted to say what one of the message that you wanted people to come away with from your guest form. You said sustainable life, or do you remember what you said? Because it was
No.
okay. So I I wrote it down, you guys, and I did like Amy shorthand, which is not it doesn't compute even for
Oh
me.
no.
So it says sustainable life equals celebration of creativity, kindness, and the
Yes.
natural world in everyday life. And so it's not like everything we've been talking about, but just the way that she said it was just so beautiful. So a sustainable life is a celebration
Yes.
of creativity and kindness and the
Yeah.
natural world. So it's just like it's not, and really, like you said, it to let it bring you joy.
Yeah.
Feel good about it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was super powerful.
Thank you.
And just all the words are so good, and I just love bringing celebration into it
Yeah.
because it
Mhm.
really is. It's celebrating the earth, it's celebrating us and all that
Yes.
we enjoy and what's good for us, and it's just all
I mean, gosh, we should celebrate the earth. Look at all the wonderful, amazing things it gives to us.
right,
The abundance of everything. And I'm not talking about like air. But the abundance, it nourishes us from everything from the sun to the air to the plants. Just all of it nourishes us from the inside and out. Because I'm sure you've heard that doctors, I think in Canada, maybe Japan, they literally prescribe going to a forest or a national park as a prescription for de-stressing.
ooh, I love that. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. They've started literally prescribing go out into nature as a prescription instead of saying here's a, drug.
Right,
Because they've done studies and studies show that being out in nature literally does calm us. Why? Because we're natural beings, right?
right. Well, because we are one with the earth, and the earth is
Yeah.
one with
And
us.
I
We
think,
are all connected.
yeah, but I think we kind of started disconnecting from that. And I think we've forgotten that. And I think we need to get back to it because
Right,
it's honoring and appreciating and respecting.
right. Yes. Well, and back to the being separate from the earth, that type of thing, we are purchasing a piece of earth, or renting a piece of earth like it belongs
Yeah.
to us, but
Yeah.
we are one with.
Yes.
We have to realize that, we need to take care of the earth to take care of us. And, just it's just I can't make words anymore. but you guys know what I mean, right? Like,
Yes.
uh, we don't own the earth. We don't actually own the earth.
No,
We are part of the
we
earth.
do not, and we should not.
But anyway, so Lisa, when I say the word sustainability, what does that mean to you?
Ooh, sustainability. I think that means, well, I mean, earth friendly, of course, but I think it means sustainable for the earth. It has to sustain us and it has to be sustainable for the earth. It's a give and take, not just a take.
Ooh, that's so good. Yeah.
I think a lot of the products out there are not give and take, they're just take. So I think sustainability is give and take. So when something is made sustainably, it it takes from the earth, it gives us, but you can give it back to the earth. Does that make sense?
Yep. It totally does. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that. And then so how can people find Good Spark Shop and learn more about you and the great products that you're finding for everyone?
So yeah, just go to goodsparkshop.com online. And all my social media, well, my Instagram is also Good Spark Shop. I just started a Substack, which is just Good Spark. Actually, I don't have the shop. I don't know why. I love to write. I'm trying to get back into that when I have time. And so
Good to
yeah,
know. I'm on Substack. I will follow you.
oh yay, okay. I actually wrote a little piece on how making breakfast reminded me that things take time. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, mostly goodsparkshop.com or goodsparkshop on Instagram. I probably should post more than I do on Instagram. And the Substack. I'm actually trying to promote my Substack more. Yeah,
Awesome. It'll be in the show notes too.
thank you.
Oh, awesome. Lisa, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all that you're doing
Thank you.
in the
Thank you for
world and
having
in
me.
LA. That's it's important stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the time to talk and talk about this. And yeah, I appreciate it.
I loved it. I always love to connect with new people and especially people that have the same, sort of mindset.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm glad that there's a lot of people out there with that
Yeah.
similar mindset.
Yeah. That was awesome. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing everything, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with your shop. I just wanted to add a little note. So, this is June now, and I can't remember when Lisa and I had initially talked, but so since we talked, she just messaged me and said that she is undergoing a rebrand. So, Good Spark is eventually going to be called EverFar, and it's going to be niched down to focus on sustainable travel essentials. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. And so I think that if you were to go to the Good Spark website, it sounds like it's going to redirect you there. And so there shouldn't be any like big confusion about that. But Lisa is still the same awesome sustainable person that is passionate about taking care of the earth and stuff. So I just wanted to add that quick little thing. That's all.
I just want to take a second to thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I love having these conversations with folks. I also want to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her music genius, for Becca Coffron and her award-winning artwork. And thank you for listening. I appreciate that so much. Please check out the show notes for any links and extra information. And if you would like to follow my guest and find out more about them, I'm sure they would love the follow. And if you don't mind leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening, and just help to get this podcast in front of new eyes, that would be amazing. I would really love that. And feel free to reach out to me on the socials and let me know what you're thinking. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know that. I would love to have a conversation with you about sustainability. All right. Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, sickness, will heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down, and mercy's bound, yeah, to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder